Alright, hey everyone. So it's somewhere around November the 5th or something, 2025. So I am in a Slavic country. Some friends of mine here have sat with me and explained some experiences with some Slavic women. You can all work out whether they're my experiences or friend's experience. So, what happened to one guy? So, he met a woman in June on a dating site, and there's a bit of to and froing, lots of let's get it out the way what each was looking for in a relationship. So there was a lot of things said. Like the guy particularly likes intimacy, cuddling, affection. The woman in question said this is normal. And something I think the Western men need to really dig deep into Slavic expressions, because honestly it's a different language, and quite honestly nearly 90+% has a different meaning. It's so incredibly nuanced that you might listen to what a Slavic woman says. She might say something that meets your needs and you go, oh, how awesome, we'll get along fine. However, them saying something like this is normal is a very Stoic phrase, right? So I know of one experience where this guy who is quite affectionate as well actually said to a potential partner that they have intimacy as the number one requisite of the relationship. Like some men can't see a point in a relationship unless there's intimacy, and I can go down the path of women and men going, oh, so they just want someone to have sex with. I've done shorts on this, and I'll go into it now. Let's get it out the way. Let's just knock off the sweeping generalizations that it's sex which is the primary driver of a man wanting a wife. Okay, there's all the other stuff that men get accused of. So, what do we get accused of? We want a mother, someone to look after us, someone to wash our clothes, someone to cook for us, someone to clean. Okay. Now, some traditional Russian women excel at that. One I was with excelled at it. Like, I made a mistake of putting this small broom that was reserved for the floor under the kitchen table and copped an earful. Everything has its place. It is regimented, it is strict, and to the non-initiated, you could almost start to think it was OCD. However, it's probably not. It is so incredibly ingrained in these Slavic women that when you come from the West, and if you're like the slightest bit messy, the slightest bit nonchalant about everything being in its place, you are in for the shock of a lifetime. Your entire world is about to change, and it's gonna change so that every single thing has its place, and if it's not in that place, you will know about it, and you will know about it no end. One friend was sitting in the dark on a rainy day, and he put the light on to use his laptop. This woman comes out and says, what are you doing? What do you have light on for? Turn light off, I'm paying for electricity. So the poor guy had to use his phone over his keyboard pad to see, right? Now, this same woman lied explicitly on her profile. Okay, so let's go into the story. Since my YouTube hero is someone you guys can work out who does impromptu, unscripted videos, I am following his lead, and whatever comes into my silly little head is what you people will be listening to. So let's talk about the nightmare. So let's tell the story. So this guy speaks randomly to men and women around the world who are met through language exchange sites. Some are met on dating sites, and on some of these dating sites, these women explicitly tick friend. They will explicitly tick marriage. They will explicitly tick short-term, long-term. They will tick all of them. They will tick some of them. So what a lot of Slavic women are convinced of, and I've talked about it before, boy oh boy, have I never met a race where one person from that race feels an innate need to speak broadly and completely for the entire race. There is no debating it, there's no questioning it, there's no even coming out of examples of, well, I know someone that doesn't think like that. They don't want to know. They've got their opinion, and their opinion is all that matters, right? So it doesn't matter how many friends you have, female friends or whatever, and you might have invested time into seeing if it could be a palatable relationship. You could have invested time into ticking some boxes and then going, oh, hang on, that's not going to work for me. And then you might go, well, let's just see. And then you can put unlimited time into seeing how it goes. So if you're anxious attachment, regular communication is paramount. It is like top of the list. When you're dismissive avoidant, you will not need daily conversation. In fact, it will intoxicate you. Going away from the Slavic people for a moment, I knew a African American working in Scandinavia. Now, we talked about this. She said she'd gone on a date. This guy just looked at his phone the whole time, and she got up and walked out. Okay? However, let's examine this. We're all going to immediately target the guy going, well, what a nasty guy. Why'd he go on a date if he's looking at his phone? Why? Because this woman says to me she enjoys being in a toxic relationship. She is dismissive. So she doesn't want contact every day. So, highly likely she was ignoring him. Highly likely she was starting to deactivate. He was sitting there bored out of his brain, probably tried to have conversation and got no answer. So relegated himself to looking at his phone to feel not embarrassed. Okay? There is, as the saying goes, two sides to every story. And there is. Remember the old adage of there's like their story and your story, and the truth generally is in the middle somewhere. I am actually quite a firm believer of that. So we'll keep diving deep into this. So who's saying what? What's the situation? Who's perceiving what to be what? But if you're stepping back, being an innocent bystander, and you were able to have an unbiased opinion and just look at the facts, you'll work out a lot of this stuff. It starts to become evident. I consider myself getting good enough to nearly pick an attachment style in the first conversation. And I'll run it past AI, and I will look at some particular thing and go, bingo, dismissive, bingo, secure, bingo, anxious, bingo, possible, fearful. Fearful-Avoidant, aka disorganized, is without a doubt the hardest one to fathom. It's not called disorganized for no reason at all, because it's push-pull. So the experience of one guy, okay, so back to the story where there's this, in June, so whether it was my friend or me, it doesn't matter. The story is, there's a conversation went on. There's a lot of disclosure about their belief systems. This particular woman was into, I don't know if I want to say too much because I don't want anyone identified in all of this, but let's say slightly esoteric practices, okay? They weren't considered what Russians consider normal. So, however, let's get something out the way. This person vehemently lied on their profile that they did not smoke and did not drink. Now, it never came up in a conversation because some people can dare to believe that someone's telling the truth and doesn't have to question every single thing. So this person's gone, read profile, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, okay? Because it would have been ticked in their search criteria. And this person lied. When they were met at the airport, this person chugged away like a chimney, smoking non-stop. And this person questioned them, says, well, what's going on? You said on your profile, don't smoke, don't drink. I said, I only smoke little. But they don't. They smoke a lot, a real lot. And it rules their life. They're spending more time in a room with friends smoking than they'll ever spend with you. So if this happens, I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but I would just end it on that day. It won't get any better. And it will absolutely actually will get worse. They're not going to give it up for you. They're not. And if they're in denial that they even smoke, there's literally no chance they'll ever give it up. And then the drinking started in the car, and then they go, oh, I'm nervous. Okay, so there was a language barrier, yeah. So, but this person was a complete full-blown alcoholic. Every night, at 2 a.m, they would drink with their friends. So in this city, Vladimir, I'd never seen this before. I didn't see it in Belarus, but there's these bars you go into, and there's these taps on the wall, and they had these big bottles. I'm sure they're more than a litre. I'm convinced they're more than a litre. And they will just put them up, put the beer or cider in, put a compression lid on, and that's because his friends would roll up with these plastic bottles of beer, and I'm like, where do they get this stuff? And I got to see one day, and so when there are a bunch of women without partners get together, you can be assured, my male friends, when you come into that circle, you're not going to break the circle. You will just undoubtedly hope something changes. It doesn't change. In fact, it gets worse, because after a week, when this woman was actually forthcoming with intimacy and cuddling, and things were great. This guy's going, oh my God, this could be the one. They do everything I really like. Cuddle all night, pleasant, attentive. Then I did a short on this of watching deactivation real time. I've had deactivation happen after 2 years, 1 month, and when I or my friend got back to their home country, the engagement that happened was called off. And everyone's going to have an opinion on why. This channel is about attachment style. You can have your opinions on why. But the only why that's found, all this guy's friends said they opened car doors, they paid for meals, they even vacuumed the house, they wiped benches down, they put dishes away, they bought flowers, and then taking them out to buy a ring. This person had received presents over the 2 years from different countries because of different sanctions. Okay, so there's wonderful little plaques of "You're my penguin," all this sort of stuff, right? Nothing but love, lots of love. There was sayings in cards going, I'd never, they're saying when they were together, they thought they'd never find this love. There was sayings in cards that love is the greatest joy of all, and I feel your love and it makes me happy. All right, so all this is written, it's submitted with pen on paper. It's not just spur of the moment, hormonal overflow. So that deactivation took a complete month and a separation in countries. This other deactivation took place in a week, and this person went from being warm and affectionate and attentive to being cold, distant, and even deliberately hurtful. So let us not forget, and I will reiterate this as much as possible, when you have an attachment style that has the word avoidant in it, believe it. Get a dictionary, look it up, and be ready to be avoided, to be dismissed, to not being paid attention to having your feelings completely disregarded. Okay, so if you are made of strong enough stuff to weather this, and if you can dig deep enough into your beingness that you go, I get that they're in deactivation, I get they're in overwhelm, I'm going to step back and see when they're ready to reach. You can do it, but you probably need to be secure. I'm anxious attachment, it doesn't work for me, I can't do it, so I just won't be with someone who's avoidant. So 2 anxious attachments together can work, but you got to look out for protest behavior, where if there's a disagreement, they don't sit and rationalize it out. They actually do have a really maladaptive practice of communication where they deliberately actually seek to hurt the other one. We could almost label it passive aggressive. We could, as a lot of these terms fit the description, and this is what's interesting when I want my channel to specialize in attachment style, and then someone goes, what's an example? An example was, I had one Slavic woman go, I'm problematic in relationships. Okay, this was quite revelationary to hear a Slavic woman go, there's something not quite right with me in my ability to build a relationship. My whole channel has this underlying tone of this, of the Stoicism that's been through Slavic countries, has produced generations of traumatized women unable to build relationships. I have the gemstone in print from a Russian woman who says, I know these women you talk of. They're strong, independent, successful, have their friends, and completely unable to build a relationship with a man. And we're not even saying